What is going on? It is James, aka the Comic Raider, and I am back with what I read this week, weekly reads, whatever you want to call it. I'm actually being smart, and I'm recording this in advance because pretty much due to have a baby any day now, any minute now, and want to make sure that I have this at least recorded so that I can upload it, and just do the professional YouTube thing. But anyways, let's go ahead and get right to it because last time I went a little long, so I'm going to try to shorten this one up. We've got, we do have Marvel again, but then I went ahead and made sure that I did some other stuff. So we're going to talk about some Spawn universe stuff. And that's what we're actually going to start with. And, no, you know what? I take that back. We're going to start with Marvel only because I read them online and I haven't had a chance to pick them up yet, so I don't have them to show off here. So let's go ahead and get into Marvel. We'll start with Ultimate again. Ultimate Spider-Man number 9. This was a good issue. We got a little, continuation of the Sinister Six, plus Harry and Otto trying to get them new suits, right? That way that Stark can't control them and whatnot. And so basically it's like, hey, he tells them that he's got the suits ready, is able to do like a firmware update on Harry's suit. So now Harry's goblin suit can't be tracked and controlled by Stark. And then he gets into like, oh, I have this great suit for you, Peter. And Peter's got this relationship, this symbiotic relationship with his suit. That we'll see where that's leading to, whether that's Venom or not. If it is, shout out my boy Johnny, because he called that pretty early on. And so we'll see where that goes. But he tells him, like, oh, I got this suit. And it ends up being basically like an Iron Spider type suit, except definitely more like armor, not robotic in a sense, but metal armor. And Spider-Man's like, no, I'm good. I don't really like it. And Harry tells Otto, like, Spider-Man's supposed to be agile. We need something a little more simple. Like, that's too much. He was talking about all the weapons that it has and everything like that. It was OP suit for sure. And so they end up, I guess they just gave him like a basic suit, which looks exactly like what he already had. I don't even know if it even changed. But, so now he just has a basic suit, I guess. That can't be, again, controlled by Stark. I don't know. But either way, the two of them are now out from there, and they get attacked by Black Cat. And, there was a cool moment because Peter's still trying to understand his spider sense and what it means and how it works. But they get attacked by Black Cat. He kind of takes out Harry with like some device that shuts him down pretty quickly. And so then, it's him and Peter. And at one point, he gets beat. And he's like, just do it. Just kill me. I knew this day would come. And Peter's like, what the hell are you talking about? And he ends up getting distracted now because Harry comes back and he's fine. And then Black Cat goes to attack. And Harry just reacts and like shoots him with the beam. And it not only blasts him, but it blasts his ass off the damn roof. And he falls to the ground. And they're like, is he dead? And apparently he has a little bit of a pulse. But, so then that began an argument between the two of them. A little bit of like, hey, we're supposed to be heroes and better than this. And Harry's like, look, man, he was going to take you out. And I'm letting you know now that I will never hesitate to make that decision. It's us or them at the end of the day. And so you can just see this constant, it feels like every issue, just a little bit more of Harry and Peter disagreeing, just a little bit more of Harry, setting his boundaries and possibly eventually going and becoming a bad guy. Like, it's just a slow build, and I actually really like that. But that was pretty much it, I guess, for that issue, really. Kind of, again, just build up and suit and stuff like that. So let's get into X-Men. X-Men number 4. This is the team with Cyclops and Magic and Juggernaut. I thought this was a good issue. It was Cyclops said that he had to stay behind because the mutants with the psychic powers were doing something, and he had to be available. So he puts Magic in charge, but sends Beast with her, which was a funny little, excuse me, dialogue there. Um, so he sends Magic out. She's gonna lead the group. You know, you guys are gonna go up against this group called the Upstarts. A guy named Fitzroy. He's basically like going viral. He's recording them hunting mutants, trying to turn the world against mutants again. And so they go and they have this battle, and of course it's being recorded live. And because they're out there tracking a mutant, they're chasing one down live, and so it's like, X-Men, you got to get there and save her. They are able to save the girl. There's a cool fight that, you know, occurs between all of them, because the Upstart's like a group of people, and so there's cool fights that go on between them all. And pretty much, you know, X-Men gets the upper hand. You know, Fitzroy makes some comment about like, oh, you guys beat us, but don't worry, I made sure to turn the live off before that happened. So, you know, I'll make it look like we won. And, you know, and it's this little back and forth that he and Magic have, I think. And, you know, but action-wise, like, art-wise was, I didn't like it at some parts. I didn't like some, like Magic, for example. I didn't like how her face looked. But there were other characters like Juggernaut, for example, who I thought, especially during the action, looked incredible. That artwork with him was amazing. But with some of the other characters, it just didn't work for me, or during certain parts. But it appeared to be the same artist for the whole issue. So, yeah, it just, at times it worked, at times it didn't. But there were some great images of Juggernaut in this one that I really, really loved. But, yeah, so anyways, I mean, that's basically quick little fight there. Fitzroy reports back to his backer, we'll call him, and it's the character Sugarman, who looks very cool, very creepy in this. And, you know, Sugarman's telling him, like, oh, I put my money behind you guys so that you don't screw this up, or something like that. But, so that's kind of like the guy who's running that. He's, you know, again, backing them. He's their boss, we'll just say. I thought it was cool how it ended, because there was this little part of Magic playing chess. She's texting someone, chess moves back and forth, and then at the end, like, she goes to move, and then she gets a text, and then all you see is, like, the hand. You see, like, this part right here, from, like, here on, it's a hand, like, moving a chess piece on their end, right? And you see what is obviously Colossus's arm. So I thought that was a cool little tease for that. So we'll see where this goes in the next issue. Uncanny X-Men 3. I think time-wise I'm doing pretty good. Uncanny X-Men 3. Gail Simone is just doing an outstanding job on this series. I will be honest, my bias makes me want to like the other one more because of Cyclops. But this series I think I'm enjoying more from a quality and reading standpoint. They're both good in their own way. But yeah, like, Gail Simone is just writing this thing out the park. And the art is really good on this one too. So it's like this great balance between the two. And so in this one, you know, we kind of left off with the group is at a place where they're kind of hiding out, and then they met all those kids that I talked about. And Rogue wakes up in the morning. She sees Logan. He's already awake. He's leaving. And she's like, why are you leaving? I need you. And he's like, number one, you don't need me, actually, which is why I'm leaving. I know that I can leave, but he was saying that something's wrong with him. He just knows something's wrong. He doesn't want to be around them, you know, and you have this handled. So he basically dips off, and then, you know, they build like a little, it's not, she calls it a danger room, but it's not even a danger room. It was out in the field where they can practice with these new kids and kind of see what their powers are. And she gets Nightcrawler involved, and it was basically like, hey, like, Nightcrawler's going to hold this belt. Your job is to get it from him. And so it was a really cool way of giving us background on all these characters. What are their powers? And then, like, what's their background? Some of them, you know, were hard-hitting emotionally. Like, there's this really cool character that I'm forgetting the name, but they're, like, anime, manga inspired. They look super like death, creepy, dark, and they were oh man, oh, they died, like they were dead at birth. but then they came back, and they came back a few times. So basically, they're just like dead now. But then when they're dying, they want to be alive, and when they're alive, they want to be dead, and they're just like, it's so much better when you read it. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining it, but that character is really cool. I also liked there was this strong guy, because he went toe to toe with Logan. He found out he was born without a heart, and then the other one that I actually really liked was there's a character who can switch. You kind of just saw her like messing with like a timer, like a watch. So her power is her ability is basically like, she says that for 1 minute she can do anything. And so like, you see her when she's going after Nightwing, she sets in, she does like advanced parkour and uses that to kind of climb that scaffolding really quick to try and get him. And but so like, her background was that she was being bullied in school, and I'm guessing she was smart, or she maybe set the timer, because the teacher was telling her that they have like 3 hours for this exam, and she was like, oh, I'm already done. And then the bullies were like, no, you're not, you're cheating. And she's like, I didn't cheat. And maybe she hit the little timer and said, let me be excellent at this exam. But anyways, so the bullies are going after her, and you basically get the impression that she set that shit to, how do I fight? And she beats the what out of these girls, and says one of them can't walk anymore. And so she kind of had this really unfortunate moment of, she stood up to her bullies and unfortunately paralyzed one of them, and is living with that guilt and everything. So it was cool to get the background on these characters, the way in which Gail Simone like had it laid out to do so, and then getting that on them. And then the issue kind of ends with Logan's on his own now. He's out in the forest, and then someone sneaks up on him, and it's the Sarah font from the previous issue. The one that I said kind of reminded me of like the Freak from Spawn, but she's like that, but mixed with like death and creepiness, mixed with Lady Deathstrike, because she's got like super long claws. And that is, first of all, you need to be reading this series regardless, but I would check this out. The fight between the two of them is great, because like, she's pretty much killing Logan. She is, and she looks so, I do wish I had the book so I could show you guys, but like, she just looks so creepy, so good. It's this tall, skin and bones like gray creature with dark black hair, long nails, like just savage. And so yeah, it's a great battle between the two of them, and great commentary. And basically like, some way Logan and Rogue are able to kind of like talk to each other, because he's fading into the black, and he's basically like telling her like, I'm dying, like and Rogue's like, Logan's dying. And I don't think he's going to die, but it's a cool way to end the issue on that little cliffhanger. So yeah, all three of these series are great. That's why I really enjoy reading them and basically talking about them every time I do one of these videos. But I highly recommend these for sure. I mean, if I really had to pick, I'd say like Uncanny X-Men right now. It's very, very strong. And then for anybody, as to where like, X-Men I think is still great, but I also have this bias that I will admit to it. And then Ultimate Spider-Man has been great too. And like, it's not, I think it started off very hot. Now it's kind of more so building a story, but I'm still enjoying it. Right, so let's move on to Spawn Universe. I got a few titles here to talk about, and I'm gonna basically break this up into looking at my notes here. I started taking notes so that I could do these videos a little bit better, and just retain better. But so we're gonna do like mini series basically. Spawn Universe has expanded to quite a few different titles now, but I'm gonna focus on some mini series that have come out recently. So we're gonna start with Monolith, which is a 3-issue. This is issue number 1 here, and then this is a variant cover by McFarlane for number 1, and then this is number 2, and then that was number 3. Overall, if I'm being quite honest, series was just okay. Um, and I do mean that. It's kind of confusing. It's a little, I don't know that it's all over the place, but it's just a little confusing, and it was kind of a letdown. And I do believe that's kind of a general consensus for those who have checked this out. Um, Long story short, it starts with him in a prison. Monolith is this big, giant, Hulk-looking, or Hulk, well, I guess, yeah, Hulk and Spawn-looking creature. He's badass, though. There's no doubt about it. And he's like in this prison, out in space, and he's like, beating the crap out of inmates, but he's also getting beat because he wants the guards to kind of come in so that he can bust out. And Omega Spawn, who is really dope character, but Omega Spawn is basically like the warden, right? And so he achieves this. The guards come in. He's able to bust out. Then you have this. I will admit, the series is brutal as hell. Very graphic, very violent, and you have this great battle with him and Omega Spawn. Very violent, and then it kind of gets Gaia. She is she runs the green world. Think of like Mother Nature, I guess, basically is how I would describe it. She kind of comes in. You just get like a little bit of this background, but and that's kind of it. Like, she's telling Monolith, like, you're better than this. Don't become a because he gets the upper hand at one point. Well, by doing so, he gets his skull literally cracked. But so like this is an example of the artwork was cool, and it's violent, and he's like ripping people's heads off and stuff. And then, like I said, a great fight with him and Omega Spawn. There's Omega Spawn right there. And then it kind of ends with, like I said, her telling him, like, hey, you're better than this. This is the great series. This is a great part of it right here is the two of them. And like I said, he crunches his skull. But then in doing so, it kind of leaves him vulnerable and distracted. And then Monolith goes to take his final blow, but then Gaia steps in and is like, look, you're better than this, don't become a monster. Meanwhile, Omega uses this as his chance to escape. So issue number 2 is basically like planet eaters destroyed his planet is what I wrote, and left him to marauders and warlords. He joins them, and eventually that's how he finds Omega Spawn. Omega Spawn basically kind of makes him like a herald for him, and to like, help him now conquer and destroy all these planets. And then at some point, now like these are characters that if you've read Spawn, like what 300 to 350, not all of them, but in between there is where you get your Monolith and your Omega Spawns. Like those of us who read are familiar with these characters already, but this was kind of just to give us more backstory, kind of. But then, like I said, it got kind of convoluted. He's running away from Omega Spawn. Omega Spawn finds him again, and that's basically issue number 2. And then they fight again. But then I wrote that they find a new weapon, and it sends them through time and space to Omega Island, which is where now you have issue number 3. I know I'm going through this fast, but that's just the reality. I'm running against the clock here. Issue number 3, basically the fight between the two of them continues on. Then they kind of end up in this weird place, like this. Think of it like, I don't know, if you were fighting and all of a sudden you busted into the damn pyramids or something. Like now you just start searching this location that you just found because you're kind of distracted. And then you get ambushed by Plague, another character that Spawn readers are familiar with. And Gaia was testing Monolith and Plague. She wanted to see if Plague is capable of killing all them two. And then she'll reset Earth using him. And then you get a future Spawn pops up out of nowhere. And then they help defeat Omega Spawn. And then Future Spawn has this dialogue with Monolith telling him that he needs to go back to the beginning and save the Earth that they're on at the time from doom. And they're like, your story's going to be so much bigger than this. And I think just hearing myself talk, like that's a lot to try and pack in between 3 issues, but most of that is number 3. Like, I talked about issue 1 for a bit here because I was trying to explain the artwork and the cool fight that we got. But like issue 2, not needed. I'm not gonna say not needed because you need more story, but then like issue 3 should have been longer. It's very weird to explain this series. That's why I said it's not great. It's, you literally felt like it was slow, but then in issue 3 you're like, okay, well now this shit's rushed because now like there's way too much going on here that I'm trying to understand, and it was okay. It was okay. I'm not gonna say like, oh yeah, you need to go pick that up and read it. Now I am gonna say that about this series. This is going to be our next one. We're gonna go with Misery. I have not picked up my number 4 yet from my LCS, but I did read it. So Misery is about Cyan, Spawn's daughter, or Al Simmons' daughter, I should say. So we're gonna go through. Here's the variant cover from McFarlane. This series was really good. I have 2 of these for some reason, but this series was great. This is a 4-issue mini-series, but technically speaking, they kind of leave it, I have a blank here, they kind of leave it on a, kind of like a cliffhanger where it's like to be continued, and I'm guessing that they're gonna kind of see like where, what the feedback that they get from it is, and then go from there as to whether or not they're gonna continue this. I would love for them to continue this. There is, I mean, there's a lot here. I gotta do this really quickly. You have Cyan, you know, she's got like her own kind of like powers of her own. She's arguing with her stepdad. No, I guess, no, not her stepdad, her dad. I don't know why I said that, Al Simmons, but her dad, Terry Fitzgerald. She's arguing with him about, you know, finding mom's killer. There's also this side story of this lady who you're getting like cop vibes, detective vibes, and then she's getting like beat from her husband. She's being abused. She was late to dinner because a kid got hit crossing the street. Husband doesn't care. He beats her. You basically end up finding out he is like the assistant district attorney, and she works for oh my god, like foster system basically. You know, she's kind of like a social worker. There's another term for this that I'm totally forgetting, but so basically, Cyan goes out with her friends, and then they get attacked by these dudes, and then she kind of uses her power at some point on him, which is basically flooding them with all of their past. So all your past comes at you, and you feel what you did to people at that time. You know, like all your sins are kind of coming back to you, right? And it ends up like knocking the dude unconscious. She also goes unconscious, and that's how she meets the lady that's been being abused. The lady's like, hey, like, you don't have a name, like, what's, you know, I don't have any information on you, who are you? But she also can go translucent, she can go invisible, and then she kind of dips out from the place and runs away. Issue number 2, she's staying with her grandma. Her and her grandma get into it because her grandma's like, don't lie to me, like, I know that there's something going on with you. She meets this weird guy at a park, and he's like telling her like, I need to deliver you to keep my own value, like I know who you are, and if I deliver you to the bad guys, it will do good for me. They touch each other, and same thing, flooded with, you know, all of their history and everything like that. That's how she's able to escape from him. And then you kind of have this moment where like she has her friend, she's trying to like find out this information about her mom's killer and then everything that's going on with her. She's getting her friend involved, but then not telling her friend shit. Typical, like, you see that trope in many different things, and it's like the friends, of course, getting upset, like, why can't you trust me, but you're using me to help you? You know, so there's, like, that going on. And then the woman, she basically keeps Jenny. Jenny is the lady who's kind of, you know, the CPS lady. She keeps getting beat by her husband now in number 3. Then you get a visit from Al. Al Simmons comes to talk to Cyan and check on her. And he's telling her that, you know, she needs to be careful about what she's getting into, looking for what happened to her mom. Like, basically just be prepared. If you're going to go down this path, then be prepared, because you might not like what you find. But she's like, too bad, I'm going for it. And then she sneaks into a treatment facility. She confronts the doctor. She steals a bunch of files, and then he catches her. But then she's like, "I've already emailed your child inappropriate stuff that you do. I've already emailed that out, and that news is about to break. So you better let me go." So of course he does. And then issue number 4. A cop ended up picking. She went undercover to try and find what was happening to her mom. She gets picked up by a police officer. The police officer tries to assault her. Again, they touch, flood of all of their, stuff. They both end up passing out. So now she's picked up by the police, and they're wondering, why the heck do I have an officer? Why are you in one of my officer's car? And why is he now, like, on life support? He's not really, but you get the point. Like, why is he effed up now? And the CPS lady kind of steps in and is like, no, like, let me take care of her. And, it's amazing dialogue. Like, I'm rushing through this, I know, but it is a hell of a story. And then, like, her and the CPS lady have a great moment because Cyan's telling her, like, why are you staying with him? Like, why do you allow this to happen to you? And the lady's like, well, we have kids, and I'm trying to, like, be strong for them, but at the same time I understand that I'm also showing them that I'm not standing up for myself. The point of this series is that it's getting into, like, deep emotional stuff, and, like, real life stuff, and it is really, really good. And then it basically ends with, they're saying, like, we're gonna press charges on Cyan here. And the lady's like, no, you can't do that. And she's like, she now has to confront her husband as the assistant DA to, like, help her get out of this, help Cyan get out of this. The Jenny has to confront her own husband who's beating her at home, but then now, like, she has to deal with him on a work level. And that's basically where it ends, man. Like I said, it is a cliffhanger, but it is a great series. Again, terrible review, but I am up against the clock here. So just know Misery was a very good series. I do recommend checking this out, even if you're not into Spawn, because it really doesn't deal with Spawn as much. This is more about the daughter and, like, just real stuff going on. My last one, I can make this quick because I only got 2 minutes left. Spawn Kills Everyone. This is a 5-issue mini-series. I believe there's 3. I read 1 through 3 today. Number 1, hilarious. Okay, hilarious stuff. Number 2, the artwork is absolutely incredible. There is so many Easter eggs in here. I could literally do a whole video just discussing all the Easter eggs that are found throughout this series. But it's this little guy, Little Spawn, Lil Spawn, Chibi Spawn. He goes to a convention. Nobody talks. He goes to Spawn Con. Nobody talks to him. So he's like, that's it. I'm going to kill every Spawn because then I will be the only one left, and then you all are going to love me. And he just gets into all these different shenanigans. The artwork is incredible. There are so many Spawn kayfabe, Chibi Spawn, Spawn Ward. There's so many Easter eggs here. It's outstanding. And so, like, he's just figuring out, like, how is he going to kill all of these Spawns. And he's like a little kid. And then, like, issue 2 and 3, he, like, he understands that he's going after the worst. First of all, he's like, okay, I need to start, who's the worst Spawn? Who's the easiest Spawn, the weakest Spawn, the lamest Spawn? And it's him. And he was, like, Googling it. And he's like, what the blah, 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 blah. And so then he just starts going after other weaker ones. Issue number 2, he realizes that he needs to take out the top dogs, but in order to do so, they have a team in Scorched, so he needs to build his own team. So he puts together his own team of Spawns, and then it ends with, like, they're like, well, wait a minute, if we're going after the weakest Spawns, you're the weakest Spawn, so they attack him instead. And then issue number 3, he's again now going after Spawn, and he runs across a Chibi Violator who is, like, literally doing the exact same thing. Oh, well, I want to be the best Violator, so I got a bunch of other Violators, and we're going to kill all the Violators and all the Spawns, and then I'm going to be the best Violator. So now he just ran up on someone who stole his whole gimmick, and he's like, what the hell? this is an amazing series. Definitely check this one out. Spawn kills everyone. It is hilarious. It is funny. The artwork is incredible. And I think everybody would pretty much enjoy this one. Whether you're a Spawn fan or not, it really doesn't matter. Like, it is just cool ass artwork. Done by Rob Sketchcraft Duenas. But Sketchcraft. His stuff is awesome. Like, this is just, from the very opening page, you're like, alright, this is like some cartoonish, gory, but just incredible, man. Check this one out as well. This is a good series. It's only going to be a 5-issue mini-series. It's really awesome. But yeah, that's going to do it for the weekly reads, man. Thank you all for tuning in as always. I appreciate all the love and support. And, you know, we'll see. I don't know how much reading I will get done with new baby on the way, but we'll find out, man. But yeah, till next time, thank you all as always. Stay safe, man. Comic Raider is out, baby. Deuces.